We provide our clients with the right balance between their needs and our platform's optimal performance. We seek precise solutions for the continued use of legacy systems and, where appropriate, development of required applications. Real ID has grown thanks to the port and maritime industry's safety and security needs. Each of our modules are managed by a simulated artificial intelligence called Sole, capable of learning scenarios and finding solutions according to the end user's requirements. Hello, and welcome to this webinar, operated and sponsored by Real ID. For your convenience, please turn your cameras and microphones off during the webinar. For your convenience, please turn your cameras and microphones off during the webinar. The webinar will begin momentarily. For your convenience, please turn your cameras and microphones off during the webinar. For questions and comments, please use the chat located in the center of the bottom of your screen. We will now start the webinar.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, as the case may be. My name is Jorge Duran, and I am the Chief of the Secretariat of the Inter-American Committee on Ports, and I bid you welcome to today's webinar, which will deal with port digitalization matters. Today, we have three wonderful speakers. We have Mr. Ramon Badia, who is the Vice President for Business Development of the Americas for DP World, or Dubai Ports World. We have Mr. Dwayne Powell, who's Vice President and Operator of the Port Community System of the Port Authority of Jamaica. And last but not least, we have Mr. Luis Perez Madariaga, Business Development Manager and for Transport and Ports in the Spanish company Indra. Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you so much for your participation and for sharing your time and your expertise with us. I want to, but before I do a quick introduction, I did want to tell the audience that we have registrations for this webinar, which I'm sure we'll be joining as we move ahead, from 31 countries. And I believe it is important that I not only acknowledge the participation of these countries, but also welcome their port terminals and port authorities. But we have registrations and participations from Antigua and Barbuda, from Argentina, from Barbados, from Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Curacao, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Germany, Guatemala, Guyana, Honduras, Mexico, Morocco, Nigeria, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, St. Croix, St. Lucia, Spain, Suriname, Switzerland, Trinidad and Tobago, the United States of America, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Welcome, all of you, to this most interesting and most relevant webinar that the Secretariat of the Inter-American Committee on Ports has prepared for you. It is important, before I turn it over to our moderator, Ms. Monica Blanco, who I want to deeply thank for her work, as well as our technological partner, which is Real ID, and Martin Santillán and his team. I want to make very clear that when we talk about digitalization or digitization of port operations, it is not about scanning the paper forms and putting them on the internet so everybody can reach them. That doesn't solve anything. In fact, it creates an additional problem. What we're talking about is redesigning the processes, and because of that, technology projects and digitalization projects are really change management projects. We need to understand and think about our day-to-day business in a completely different way. We need to utilize the virtues of the digital tools to be more efficient, to be more effective. And digitalization, I'll remind you, also with these efficiencies helps reduce pollution. So indirectly, it impacts sustainability, even though it can't be used specifically for that. But it is important to point out that these processes, these projects are really change management projects. And this must be understood. We need to conceptualize the logistical supply chain and the role of the port and the terminals as vital, but this role will continue to be the same one, except we will do it in a more efficient manner, thanks to digitalization. But again, it's not about scanning the forms and putting them online so people can, it's about redesigning that process. Anyway, you are here to listen to the speakers and not to me. So I welcome the three gentlemen again, and I welcome all of the audience. And with that, I will now turn it to our star moderator, Monica Blanco from the SIP Secretariat, so that she can go ahead and introduce our panelists and get this webinar underway. I will see you at the end. Thank you very much. Monica, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jorge, for your warm welcome, and welcome to all the participants joining us today. I'm extremely honored to be moderating today's webinar and to share screen with such distinguished speakers. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Ramon Badia. Business administrator with 28 years of experience in the maritime and port industry. He began his career in 1996 in the technical and maintenance area with Sea Land Service. In 2003, he joined Puerto Caucedo, holding various positions from shift manager to director of operations at DP World Dominican Republic. In May 2018, he was appointed commercial director of DP World Dominicana, leading the transformation of the port's commercial division, the opening of the economic zone, the implementation of logistics services, and the launch of the first proprietary feeder service to Haiti and other ports from the Dominican Republic. He concluded his tenure as Vice President of Commercial in December 2024. He currently serves as Vice President of New Business Development for DP World Americas region. Thank you for joining us today, Ramon, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Monica. Thanks, Jorge, for the great introduction to this webinar. I would like to thank you, my colleagues that will be presenting after me. For sure will do better than me and will add a lot of value to this webinar. But I'm very, very glad to be here today because we are new members of the CIP, and it's an honor for us to be in this first presentation representing DP World. Another reason to be very glad is because this is a very important topic because traditionally the ports has been seen as a point of work for transactions to be discharging and loading containers. With the evolution of the last years, the ports has been evolving and transforming in a very important part of the supply chain, being a hubs to integrate processes with the customers. So it's a very important topic today. And going straight to the presentation, will give me 2 minutes to start projecting the presentation, right? Can you see, Monica?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first, I would like to spend a couple of minutes talking about DP World, who we are and where we are. Just to put in context our organization as a new member. So today, as you can see in this world map, DP World operates in more than 70 countries around the world. We moved last year 95 million TEUs, which reflects a total throughput of approximately 10% on the world. As I was sharing and Monica was telling to the audience as well, we started not only in Dominican Republic, we started around the world to make a transformation process in our business. This is why you see these different colors in the map. And in the left side of the slide, we have four main categories. The port and terminals is still our core business, but we have a model of developed economic zones in different parts of the world. We have a logistics division and a marine service focus on shore sea operation. Here you can see more details about it. This vision starting in our flagship terminal in Jebel Ali, in which we have basically JAFSA, that is one of the biggest economic zones around the world, which contributes to the Jebel Ali terminal as well, with around 50 million TEUs. In my case, I belong to the American region. In the Americas region, we have terminals from Canada to Argentina. Each of one has a different color, which represents the category of the vertical of our business in which we are representing in each country. If you can see, in Dominican Republic, we have all the different verticals combined, and I will speak a little bit about it in the next minutes. So this model and the transformation, not only being a port, it's driven basically by the vision in Dubai. So you can see in this screen that we have our different terminals in Jebel Ali port, which manage around 90 million TEUs per year. We have here an industrial park and a free zone, and here we have an airport. So this ecosystem is part of the transformation process that we are trying to implement in different areas of the world. The best example of it is the contribution that the free zone and the economic zone support to the UAE government. Today, just showing that slide, it represents around the 38% of the GDP contribution, 34% in Dubai, to be more specific. So in that operation, we have 80 million square meters with around 12,000 companies operating and contributing with around 15 million TEUs. So basically, we have an ecosystem there in which companies are doing a lot of type of industrial and value-added logistic operations for regional distribution. Good example of it is that this vision was implemented in Dominican Republic. It was the Puerto Caucedo in 2004. It is the Puerto Caucedo 20 years later with the same vision in which we have expanded the port a couple of times, and we include that concept of the economic zone inside the port. Today we have 200,000 square meters, and the future looking this way, in which we are projecting to the 2044 more than 3 million square meter adjacent of the economic zone adjacent to the airport, and included in the same port ecosystem. So after that high level introduction of DP World, I would like to touch a couple of important topics that reflects how important the digitalization and the investment of the ports in terms of capacity in equipments and technology are so important. I'm just going back to the COVID-19, which was we can say a very important success that accelerated the digitalization in all the world, and we know all the reasons. So if we can reflect what happened in COVID after the 2019, we have had a lot of different challenges in which the peaks of demand were extremely high, in which we didn't find containers, no cheap availabilities. We had a lot of rollovers at the ports. We knew what happened in the Panama Canal with the reduction of capacity due to the lack of water and the rains. The Suez Canal closed, and now things like tariff war cause different issues after the post-COVID, which never ends in terms of how it is affecting the schedule reliability with the global carriers and the shipping lines. And of course, it is traduced in port congestion. It is traduced in the need to work with a flexible scheme in the ports for the berth windows. It is translating to a more demand instead of efficiency, right? And of course, include new technology to satisfy the customers, right? The best example of it is that this graph shows the schedule reliability trend after COVID. We can see that in 2019 and before that, it was above 80%. So any single shipping line was in a very high ranking in terms of schedule integrity in the past. And year by year, it has been deteriorated. And after 5 years, 6 years, we are still seeing that this compliance in the schedule reliability is before 50%. So it demands a lot of evolution in the ports. And one of the best practices, one of the investment in terms of innovation we are doing in our flagship operation in Dubai is the box bay. Most of you maybe have seen what means this technology, but I will put a video that will reflect what it means in terms of our future. So this technology of the box bay, it's a very innovative technology that it's been in the last 4 or 5 years under trial in Dubai. And basically, what we are trying to do with this is to have a super giant rack, 12 to 15 height, in which we can, through all the technology, avoid the false move in the terminal. All of us that has been in the ports, we know that one of the key aspects in terms of efficiency is how well we can manage the unproductive move in the different ports. So this technology, it's aiming to reduce at zero the false move, reduce the distances in terms of how vertical it's been developed. And if we see the analysis in terms of how efficient this operation will look in the future, we can see the different equipments that works in a port today, from the restacker, RTGs, RNGs, going to the box bay, how efficient can be, how TUs per hectare we can manage with the box bay technology. Going in a more level of detail to the digital technology, is the same we were discussing at the beginning. We can see in this simple slide how complex are the processes in the port, all the stakeholders that are part of a process to from the government perspective, but from the all supply chain perspective to do the processes for cargo, import, cargo export, or re-export. In the case of DP World, we have been developing port community system. We have been developing some other technology and digital solutions that go beyond to the port aspect, as I was mentioning at the beginning. So we have been developing cargos since some years ago. It is a platform which involves all the stakeholders on the supply chain, and it's integrating processes not only in the ports, it's going beyond the ports. A good example is how the port community system is working in Dubai. As soon as it was implemented, the presential reduction in the port was reduced almost to zero. And today we are managing around 25 million transactions with 250,000 users, 100% adoption. So nobody's going to do any presential process at the port. The same is under implementation in Dominican Republic with DR Trade, which is a port community system under implementation that includes all the stakeholder, importer, exporter, shipping agents, shipping line, custom brokers, transport companies, port operators, and all the supply chain. So it's been implementing this at the end of this year. It's under trial, and the most important part is how well adopted has been from the government perspective, from the supply chain perspective, and how we have been implementing together with the other port operations, Rio Jaina and Caucedo, which are the companies pushing for that platform. Another important digital solution implemented 2 years ago, specifically in Dominican Republic, was a solution to pay the ports duties and the port processes with the MasterCard. I don't know if it's been implemented in other parts of the world with our colleagues, but this is a very important solution that has a lot of value to the BCOs. So today you can pay all the port services with a simple credit card. In the past, it was paid cash by the BCOs. Today, MasterCard and Azul did an integration with us to implement that solution. So today, in this single platform, you can see that the customer can log into the system, can do all their quotation, can see all the different charges that they have, and of course they can pay the solution with the credit card. So today it is integrated with the port community system. I will show you a video which summarize it in 1 minute. So you can see how the customer is in the port community system. It's linking the process with our platform for the payment. It's for an import container, and how the customer can pay with the credit card on the port, right? And get 45 days credit in a very simple way. And of course, the customer can unload their final invoice after the payment. The last to end my presentation is the chatbot. This is a technology and a digital solution used in all the bank system today. So we implemented in the port a year ago as a best practice, because on the customer service, with all these peaks, all these demands, especially on the local market in Dominican Republic that is growing a lot, we were very challenged by the customers due to the lack of response. So with the growth that we had, we couldn't provide sometimes a timely response to customer in terms of the containers to be inspected by customs, claims, etc. So we implement that technology chatbot, in which we integrate the most, we can say, demanded services at the port. So you can see in this slide that we started with 7 different services, which is to understand about the vessel schedules, container inquiry, rates and quotations, and some other services that were very demanded at the port in terms of the different customers. So this is a slide which shows from the previous slide the demand of the customers in terms of the platform. So that as soon as we implemented the chatbot through WhatsApp, the most used part was the container inquiry, the datos del contenedor, right? For the customer to understand if the cargo was in yard, it has released, the type of authority hold, a lot of information. And the same with the other type of request. This is a screen which shows that besides this information that comes in the chatbot, there is a last item, which is to do the chat through WhatsApp with a customer service agent. If you cannot use one of the previous 6 options. So a good example is that as soon as the customer goes to do the chat with a customer service agent, here you see this reflection in the screen, how the customer interact, and the good feedback for a timely response. So if we go to the facts, we can see here that in a very good comparison, in a very quick comparison from previous year, in average in 2014, we managed in a monthly basis around 21,000 import containers. It is around 35,000 TEUs in average. And in the first 6 months of 2025, we have been managing average 1,000 import containers more than the 6 months of the previous year, with a 30% reduction on the calls that is tracked by the chatbot. But on top of that, we have in this side of the screen a KPI of 97% of calls, emails, timely respond versus a KPI of 70% that we used to have in the past. So the customer satisfaction level has been improved dramatically. We have been doing and we have been working towards that growth with the same people as well. So now we have a better customer service, and at the same time we have been able to manage effectively the peaks and the demands. So the next steps is basically, and this is my last comment, is how we can incorporate the chatbot with artificial intelligence for automatically reply the emails, how we can integrate with the other platforms that we have in our ecosystem, which is well known in terms of potential for all the audience, the play that the artificial intelligence is playing in the future. So with that, I would like to thank you, all of you, for the time. Thanks, Monica. So hope that I have add value with that presentation today.
Of course,
Of course, thank you so
thank you so much, Ramon, for sharing with us about the amazing technological innovations DP World is implementing. I am looking forward to asking you about the challenges you encountered while introducing this technology in the Q&A session. Thank you so much. And our next speaker is Dwayne Powell. Mr. Powell is currently the Vice President for Community System Operator at the Port Authority of Jamaica, a dedicated business unit whereby a port community system has been implemented and operationalized for Jamaica. He currently interacts on an ongoing basis with private sector, governmental, and multilateral agencies with respect to strategies and plans for improving the cargo trade and logistics within Jamaica, thus ultimately improving the doing business landscape. He currently holds a certificate in leadership for senior executives from Harvard Business School, a certificate in project management from UWI, customs risk management certification from the SEDET Foundation, and an MBA from the University of the New Orleans. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for joining us. The floor is yours. We can't hear you.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Monica, for giving us the opportunity to present and to meet with everybody. I have a relatively short presentation today on change management. We think that change management in terms of digitalization within ports, within major projects that impact a number of persons, a number of companies is very important. I'm hoping, Monica, that you're seeing my screen.
Yes, we can.
Great, fantastic. Is it still okay, just to confirm?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so where we're at now, we're going to give a brief overview of the Port Community System project within Jamaica, where we started. So our project within Jamaica is very unique because of the fact that we were championed in terms of the Port Community System project initially by the private sector. The Shipping Association of Jamaica played an instrumental role in the early days of doing a lot of background work for the implementation of a port community system. They did a lot of lobbying. The government heard and decided to strategically invest in the project. There were two main things at the time in 2012 that the government wanted to focus on. One was reversing the perception of Jamaica's trade facilitation and logistics climate, and two, to improve the relatively slow pace at which Jamaica was improving. So you'll see that from the early onset, you had both public and private sector stakeholder buy-in in terms of the project. Coming out of that, the government, through a cabinet decision, mandated that the Port Authority of Jamaica be the lead agency in terms of implementing the project. And we've seen that in many countries where the port authorities are the lead agencies. But we worked very, very closely. We still do work very, very closely with Jamaica Customs Agency, who is a partner in the project. As everybody would be aware, in terms of integration and in terms of change management, customs plays a very significant role in that. And then we also worked very closely with the Shipping Association of Jamaica, who is a strategic stakeholder. Ultimately, what we wanted to achieve is a single window for trade logistics business. And ultimately, our aim was to optimize, collaborate, and obviously automate. In terms of our strategic objectives, we try to comply with international standards. Ultimately, Jamaica has a goal and a vision to become a logistics hub and also to empower economic growth. So when we looked at the port community system, we were very specific in terms of the scope that we wanted to do. We wanted to focus on the logistics of cargo, but we knew that that alone would not suffice. And so the government in itself and the private sector have been investing both in human resources and in technology over the years. We have three main ports within Jamaica. Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited, they utilize Navis. Kingston Wharves Limited, who is also in Kingston, they use Tideworks. And we have a port or terminal within Montego Bay called Port Handlers Limited, and they use Advantum Port. So these are three separate and distinct terminal operating systems. Jamaica Customs also has invested heavily in both human resources in terms of business process reengineering, and they have also implemented Asikuda World. And then also they have worked with UNCTAD, working with the regulatory agencies to implement national single window that is focused on the regulatory aspect, specifically LCPs, which is license certificates, permit certificates of origin. And then the Port Authority obviously went ahead and implemented the port community system. One of the things that a lot of countries, I think, grapple with based on our interactions with them in terms of how they implement very large systems is the balance between getting the right technical skills to assist you and also building capacity. When we started our project, we knew we did not have initially the technical skills that we wanted. So we went out deliberately and we hired through RFP process, PCES technical consultant to assist us with the project. We also looked at our legislation and we knew that we had to have changes within our legislation to support the new processes and the new activities that we were doing. And so we also made legislative changes. And then I think one of the most important things from a governance standpoint that we did was the formation of a PCES steering committee. And this steering committee was established as far back as 2012. It includes both public and private sector stakeholders, and we brought everybody to the table. So one of the key things that has always been consistent for us is communication and the fact that we bring all of the stakeholders, all of the terminal operators, customs, the shipping agents, the custom brokers, the freight forwarders, the truckers, all of them to the table when we are discussing the changes and the challenges that are affecting the port community. And this steering committee still meets now on a monthly basis. What we did also in terms of our change management was we did a lot of business process reengineering. Right now, technology can be thrown at almost any challenge. But what we wanted to do was we had a lot of archaic processes, very outdated processes. And what we did before we threw any technology solution at it was to do a lot of business process reengineering. And we had a very specific process that I'll show you shortly in how we did it. But what we did was simply to map the processes. We had breakout teams of persons who were operational persons who understood the day-to-day processes, who would go through the processes, vet them in terms of both the current and the proposed processes, do business process reengineering, and then once at the operational level that was agreed, then we would then roll it back up at the senior level for them to sign off. And so that's a really iterative process that has worked well with us. One of the key things that I need to also highlight is the fact that we do a lot of engagements and communication. We go out, we meet with the shipping lines, we meet with the custom brokers, we meet whether on a monthly or bi-monthly basis with all of the stakeholders as a group or individually to try to address the challenges that they're having. And this has to go on for the different phases of the project that you have in terms of the different rollout modules. So in terms of our rollout methodology, you'll see that what we have is phase one, as I said earlier, which is a business process review. Phase two, which is a customization. The port community system within Jamaica is cloud-based, fully cloud-based. And then we engage the community in terms of training, and we always start through a pilot phase. So we never go, our modules and our phases impact a number of companies, a number of persons. And so what we always do is that we always start with a pilot phase, get the feedback from those companies, do any refinements that are necessary. And then once we are satisfied, both from our side and from the community side, the port community side, that the pilot phase is okay, that's when we then go live and launch to the entire port community. And then once you go live, then you have to obviously provide support. The PCS operator within the Port Authority is a dedicated business unit that supports both the implementation and the ongoing operation of the PCS within Jamaica. And so you will need, obviously, trainers, you need quality assurance specialists, you'll need a dedicated help desk team, and obviously you'll need technical persons to support the system. And so this is what you're seeing now on your screen is a very iterative process, and we do this for every new module that we have rolled out. In terms of our key drivers of success, once you're doing these large enterprise projects, risk management is very, very important. You have to obviously identify all of the risk upfront, and you have to have a risk registry, and you try to manage those risks. One of the things that we had seen is the fact that for these large projects where you're implementing various legacy systems, you have to appreciate that the time frame that your stakeholders may have had to either update or to integrate their systems with you may not be on track with your time schedule. And so that's one of the things that you have to onboard them and try to understand that process from early. There are a number of companies who have very strict change management processes internally also, or they may be a part of larger global organizations that have schedules. And so that is one component. We, for example, because we had identified that customs was a major player, we actually worked with customs to have a separate contract with their service provider who focused solely on integrating customs with the pieces. And so that would have then minimized the risk in terms of delays within your project. As I said, re-engineered processes is a massive component of what you're doing. And you have to meet with the stakeholders and explain it to them so that you get that general buy-in. As I said also, for this project or for any large projects, what you'll find once you start to meet with the stakeholders within the port community is that there are different challenges. And so once you have scoped your project, you have to articulate and communicate very clearly. These are the terms of reference for the project. And so it allows you and also the port community stakeholders to focus on specifically those items that fall within the project. Don't try and fix everything at once, or else you may lose time, working on a number of things and reducing the value added benefit that you're trying to do. So in terms of the onboarding also, as I said, ongoing change management is important. Meet with them, understand, do not leave out any stakeholders. We have very small associations that can impact on the success of your implementation. And so that's always critical to meet with everybody. One of the things that we also saw once we started to implement was the demands. You'll go through different phases in terms of customer engagement. Naturally, a lot of persons are hesitant to change. There are some companies or entities that may be for it, but then once you get them on board and they start to use it, then the demands for what they want will also change. And so that's something that you need to factor in terms of your project rollout. For us, we're looking at within Jamaica right now, business intelligence is a very important component for us and for the port community in terms of the reports that they can get, in terms of the data that they rely on, because we do integrate with the terminals, we do integrate with customs, etc. The other important thing is the fact that we are also looking at the development of a mobile app or solution. Right now, you can access it through the web on your mobile machine, but we have seen where we think that a mobile app dedicated to very specific functions in terms of perhaps track and trace feature, which is one of the things that is accessed mostly in Jamaica, and also our appointment system would be very important for the industry. And then obviously we're working with the terminals in terms of looking at what they're rolling out in Jamaica. Our terminals have been investing heavily, and we're looking at electronic gates and certain other activities that we think would add a lot of value to the port community. So I think that's my presentation today in a nutshell. I hope it was clear, and thanks all for listening.
It was very clear. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for this fantastic presentation and for sharing with us about the implementation of the PCS in Jamaica and how important was change management that made this initiative, among other factors, of course, so successful. Thank you so much. Now I would like to introduce next speaker, Luis Perez. With more than 15 years of experience as a project manager, transport, and port operations consultant. Since 2016, he is responsible for the development of port business for Indra Sistemas. Prior to this stage as a consultant, he served as operations manager of the DP World Terminal in Tarragona Port and chief operations officer of the APMT Terminal in Valencia. He has extensive knowledge of logistics and operational dynamics for all modes of transport and related infrastructures, in addition to understanding the particularities of the logistics and port sector in Spain and several Latin American countries. Thank you so much, Luis, for being here with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you all. Thanks for sure to the CPOS for this opportunity. It's an honor for me, a pleasure to represent Indra in this very nice conversation. Let me share you my presentation. Let's move forward. Okay. Okay, I think you can see it now. Let me put it down. Okay. You can see it, isn't Monica?
We can see.
Okay, nice. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, I'm going to talk about the change management in technological projects. For me, after the Dwayne presentation talking about the port community system in this kind of projects, all related to change management is very important. And we will see because why it is the reason that this is very important, how to handle correctly all the changes through the projects to avoid and to reduce the risk and trying to look for the best success in the project. What we are talking about very briefly about what we are talking about change management, about this kind of projects, internal or external. Let's see the importance of about the stakeholder analysis and identification in this in the projects, about the communication, about the training. The training is a key aspect in change management, and we are going to finish with the leadership and management in this kind of process. About the change management, I mean, I guess everybody knows about what is the change management and all the process and is how to adapt all the for a new reality. And the very important aspect of the how we have to handle the change management in our process, in our projects, and we have to take care about it if it's a kind of small project inside our biggest project. In terms of technology, I mean, there's not a huge difference among technology projects and other kind of projects. I mean, through my career, I have to face some different projects. Most of them, recently ones are technology, but there is not a huge difference. But you have to talk about the very specific things about the technology. It's about the time that you be able to implement that changes. In the case of the technology, the impact in the time is reduced and the impact is deeper. And that makes a technology project so sensible regarding to this kind of adaptation, of this kind of preparation for the change. And also there's a very specific thing about the resistance of the stakeholders all of the users that we are going to suffer, you know what I mean, about the change. And this is one of the big reasons that you have to handle it properly, okay? And another key aspect about the technology projects is the system integration, because as we are going to see later, in some cases, the technology projects, as we saw already in the port community system projects, involve system and platforms from third parties, and then that requires very high sensible, very high attendance that in internal project. This is what I'm talking about now. I mean, um, sometimes you have, I mean, when I was working for DP World, we have faced so many, I would like to say internal projects, that projects where you have faced with your own people or your own employees or our organization. In this case is, I mean, this is not, every change is not easy at all, but you have to do your authority, and you are able to push more than in other cases. When you have to, for example, what I'm talking about when I said in port environment, when I have to talk about, when I'm talking about internal projects, I mean, for example, the implementation of a terminal operating system. This is what I'm talking about, okay? That you as a chief operation manager, or with your team of the systems and technology team, you develop the project internally, and the affection to the relation with the third parties is a minor part of the project. But in any case, you have to handle aspect as communications and communication, internal communication, also the training that we are going to see later. But we have another kind of projects, for example, as we saw already, Port Community System, that you have to handle third parties. And sometimes these stakeholders are very strong ones, with very sensible stakeholders, with their limitations, with their restrictions, with their legal framework that doesn't permit develop the project as you planned before. And this is the reason that you have to handle differently. I mean, it's more complex than the internal project. I mean, you have to take we can see here, you have to handle the different stakeholder expectations, You have to see about the frame, the legal framework. You have to see what is your that you are able to push or not push, and you have also taken account to maybe change in your initial scope or about your initial goals because of you have to handle and you have to deal with the expectations and with the perspective of the other stakeholders that can limit or can set our restrictions on your scope. Due to this, under my experience, this is very important taking account all these stakeholders, making a correct analysis of them, and the collaboration is a very relevant aspect in this kind of projects. If you wanted to get success in this kind of projects, for example, a port community system, as we saw, you have to take in account to have to make them participate in the very early stage of the projects, making them part of the design, taking in account of all their goals, their limitations, their expectations, and maybe at the end that change your final scope, but if you are doing, you don't handle it like this, you are going to face a lot of much more problems, and the risks of the failure in this project will be more. I mean, then this change management does only affect to your organization, but also affects to the others, all these stakeholders that I said you have to take in account. And then this stakeholder analysis is very important. I mean, you have to see uh, who is who in the scope of your projects, and due to these different roles and interests and also authority level of each one, you have to handle it and you have to plan accordingly to get the better success. I mean, it's not the same handle this kind of project when you have to deal with the customs authority or where you have to deal with truck logistic or whatever company. It's not the same. You have to take this in account and you have to handle it through two very important ways. The first one is the communication, and the second one is about the training. And before these two, you have to take account about the expectations about what the project can bring to them. Okay, and this is also very important, as we are going to see now, to get their engagement, because in this kind of external projects you cannot get I mean, it's not these people, these companies, these organizations, in most cases authorities. You cannot be able to set the rules. You have to design by their hand to get this engagement from them. And this is a very important aspect. I mean, in this kind of projects, in the technology projects, in the change management, the role of the project sponsor, and doesn't care about if your project is a waterfall project or is a Scrum project. That doesn't matter about the methodology to implement the project. You have to take care about these very relevant roles to be part of the design of the final scope. because if you don't do that, the most probably is you are going to get a lot of troubles and barriers, and you are not going to be able to move in a proper manner. I mean, this is very important. Identify and uh, change and be made that people part of the project. It's very important, very important. Engagement, as I was talking about, you see, engagement. And under my consideration, I mean, I made a lot of workshops with different authorities to prepare them to the change management and about the design. But I think it's better at the beginning, do it one by one, but one by one. They're going to speak freely. Uh, it's better to get common points of development. And then when you are as a project sponsor or project manager, be able to identify this common pain points as the pain points, then you can put all together. But at the beginning, it's better this feedback and these seasons, do it one by one. Then the communication. I mean, in both cases, for internal or external projects is quite important. I mean, because if you have to be able to do it timely. I mean, not at the end, not when everything is designed, is this already decided. No, 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 no. You have to do before. You have to take in account all the different stakeholders, the internal one or the external, doesn't matter. I mean, the point is, when in the case of the internal, you have some resistance, but at the end you're going to get it. But in case of projects that you have to take into account the external sensitivities, you will be, if you don't do it correctly about the communication, about to take them into account, you're gonna get a lot of problems, and maybe at the end, it will be not able to change that culture, that vision, whatever. Then the communication is very, very, very important, because if you do it at the right time, you are going to get able to engage these third parties to your projects, and this is very, very, very important. They have to feel part of the project. It's not something that you're going to push to do it. I mean, eventually you can do it if your own our organization. I've done before, but when you have to deploy this kind of, I said, external projects, port community system, maritime single window, this kind of projects, you have to take in account these sensibilities, these different divisions, these different needs, and take take these different visions and make them part of the project. As I said there, touch the heart of them. It's not something I have to do because I say so. No, 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 that's not the way. This is, as I said, two-way communication. I mean, a good, from under my point of view, the good experience is when you are able to, with the key stakeholders, you are able to talk one by one, getting all that information and designing your project, making that changes, and that they recognize their inputs part of the project. This is very, very important. But you have to take in account these very important your main stakeholders to make the project suitable, right? And for sure, another very important aspect is the training. As I said before, you have different roles, different companies, organizations, whatever. Then you need to make different training plans, not only under the perspective of the user, but also under the perspective of the role that they are going to rule through the project and after the project. Then the training is a very, very important plan, because in some cases, if we are talking about the specific of the technology projects, I mean, for example, a poor community, your users start to play with the tools and the interface, they find a lot of mistakes, bugs, so many things. Then, as soon as you can able to start the training process and they're able to play with the tool, it's much better for you because you are going to adapt your tool to your solution to they really needs, or making improvements through the projects. It's very, very important too. I mean, not a very so rigid training process at the end of the project. Under my experience, the sooner the better, and through the difference, of course, through the different channels of training. I mean, you can make seasons, you can make video seasons, you can be able to give them a demo where they can play or try different things. I mean, all the different channels to train it. That for sure. Luckily, we have today. But for me, the set this different level of trainers depends on the stakeholders is very, very, very important. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I made in advance, but about as I said, about the feedback they are going to give you due to the use, about what things they see they be able to improve, or this is so wrong, whatever they are going to give you before, and then you can improve. And also, as I said before, they're gonna feel part of the project. I mean, because it's so important, this very key stakeholders or key users be part the sooner the better, because they're going to give you these inputs, and if you take it in account and you change your tool and your project, wow, they are going to feel something. If they're going to feel as part of the project, and then you are broken this barrier. I mean, this is not something the someone wants to do. No, no, this is they're gonna feel part of the project. And in this kind of seasons also helps to this change of mentality, the mentality change of the adaptation, and make the change management easy. Finally, let's go to talk about a little bit about the leadership and management for the change. I mean, uh, for both kind of projects, so internal and external, this is not kind of project contractor where I want to build a house, or that's not the role. I mean, when a authority or a operations manager or general manager wants to deploy or develop a new technology project, the first head is this project sponsor. I mean, you are not going to hire a company and disappear. No, 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 no. That's not the way. I mean, their role to be able and to be smoother the change management, the project sponsor has to be there, has to be there. The vision has to be shared, has to be communicate, and the role of this project sponsor has to be there through the project, not just at the beginning and at the end. No, no, no. Has to be side by side to the project manager, because it's different figures, as you know, I should know. And then the company, I don't know if the general manager or operations manager, whatever, must be there all the time, and they have to share their visions and they have to be the face of the project with all their parties, and they have to be able to change their mind, to take account all, not all the opinions. Have to be clear, of course. I know not all of it, but if you previously as have identified the key stakeholders, you have to take it in account, and you have to be part of project, changing the scope. But this role is very important. Is very important. Is you have is if you delegate that responsibility to your third company project manager, you are going to fail. You are going to fail. I mean, the project will go. You have to be there, carry on these responsibilities. And also, in terms of convince to your partners and to your stakeholders about the change, you have to demonstrate in some way about the gains. I mean, you have to talk about what they're going to gain with this project, okay? Because you are going to be this is good for my terminal, my company. No, no, that's not the way. You have to be able to demonstrate to them about they are going to what is the benefits for all the communities, for each of them in particular, and this is part of this change of the mentality. Okay, they have to see they have to see the project as something that will bring benefits for them to them, and the project sponsor, that leadership has to be there to help to the project manager to demonstrate, to explain all this information. Um, Also, it's very important to have this change of mind. If you are able to present a previous good experience or from another companies of your organization or another ports. I mean, in the case of the CPOA, we have so many experience when they are sharing, when they made some project and they share the benefits to the other members of the organization. This is kind of work. It's very important too, because they see, okay, they made this project, and then if I do it, I'm gonna get these cost reductions or whatever. I mean, this is very, very important. And the project sponsor role, that leadership is very, very important to convince, to make this change of the mentality and broken these barriers. Just to finish out these four aspects that I was talking about, the strategic change management. I mean, all the projects you have to plan it, but in the particular case of the change management, you have to plan it inside your project, okay? Because you are taking account all your reality. You have to plan. You have to make a specific plan to adapt your reality to a new reality. Then the stakeholder analysis or identification, well, is very important. You have to know who is who and how to handle it, each ego, how to handle each expectation, how to handle each needs. I mean, it's so important. And eventually you have to you need to change your initial scope. Communication, that's all. In the early stage, you have you have to make a very specific plan to communicate at the beginning of the project, through the project, at the end of the project. Internally and externally, it's very, very important to handle the communication to module the expectation of the
Dear
community.
Luis,
Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt, my friend, but you need to conclude so that we can move along.
it's on, it's
Thank
off, it's off.
thank
That's the end. Yeah. And at the end, as I said, leadership. the project sponsor and the leadership has to be present through the project, not at the beginning, not at the end, or around all the project. That's all, Jorge. Sorry. I was not aware about the time. Sorry.
Thank you
Okay.
so Thank you so much, Luis, for this excellent presentation. And thank you to all of our speakers. Now I would like to continue with the Q&A session and to invite all of our speakers to join me in the screen so we can start. I will do just one round of questions each. And our first question is for Ramon. How does DP World align digital transformation initiatives with broader corporate strategy and stakeholder expectations? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a it's a very good question because we have a lot of challenges, especially in terms of IT today. As we all know, there is a lot of IT solutions that are part of the day-to-day, not only to operate a terminal, to pay for a BCO. There is a lot of different aspects that needs to be considered, especially in our strategy that we are not being only a port, that we have an economic zone that are attached to the port, that the system needs to speak with each other. So one aspect that we are seriously considering always is the standardizations, how we can keep all the apps, platforms that we implement, IoT, the TOS, everything under the same standard. Because at the when you have the need to plug any new vertical of service, any new process, is very important to have it, especially a very important aspect to consider today in all the ports is the security, especially in Latin America. Security threat is very high at the ports, especially the port that has a good maritime connectivity. So you need to integrate the scanners, you need to integrate gates, you need to integrate some other processes that create complexity. So the most we standardize, the better. This is part of what I can consider key for us on the corporate strategy for digitalization.
Thank you so much, Ramon. And our next question is for Dwayne. For projects such as this, is it critical to involve all stakeholders from the onset?
Thanks, Monica, for that question. Yes, as we had stated earlier, communication and consistent communication, clear communication is very important. You really need to have a common understanding for these large enterprise projects. And so you need to take both public, private sector stakeholders, both large and small, and have them at the table from an early onset to look at, in terms of the terms of reference, to look at the risk, but to always have continuous communication and engagement, both at the C-suite level, the CEOs, the chief operational, the chief financial persons, etc., but also to meet, very importantly, with the persons who are on the ground, who interact and who make these processes successful. So you can't both groups of stakeholders, you have to meet with them on an ongoing basis so that you can have buy-in. But yes, it's very important from the onset, and also continuous engagement is very important.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. And our last question is for Luis. Of all the key aspects of change management that you identified at the end of the presentation, which do you think is the most important and why?
Okay, I guess maybe the leadership. I mean, you have to be able to share your vision, be able to make your community and your key stakeholders part of the project, be part of the project. If no way you have to push to change, you have to be able to convince about your vision, the benefits, and share and be part of your stakeholders, key ones, part of the project. The leadership is the most important part.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Luis. And now we conclude our Q&A session. Thank you so much to today's speakers. You truly gave us a masterclass of change management. It has been a privilege listening to you and an honor to moderate this webinar. Before I say my goodbye, I want to hand it over to Jorge. I just want to make a quick announcement. We will be hosting a webinar on strategic port development infrastructure for global competitiveness on August 7 in collaboration with the Association of Private Port Terminals of Ecuador. I will be sharing the link to register in the chat. Thank you so much again to our speakers, to the audience, and Jorge, back to you.
Thank you very much, Monica, and thank you, Ramon, Luis, and Dwayne for your excellent presentations. I think that the introduction I gave at the beginning, where I emphasized the fact that digitalization projects are not necessarily technology projects, but are change management project, was very clear. Ramon, congratulations on the bot. I think that's a very cool solution. I personally have distrust of artificial intelligence, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And then, Dwayne, something that I rescue from your presentation is the fact that you need to involve everybody and their brother, all their stakeholders have to sit together and have to create a committee and have to create a governance structure. And also, you pointed out in your presentation how the Port Authority of Jamaica had to change its regulations, had to, update them, if you will, in order to accommodate the project and the change management. And Luis, I think that your presentation clearly identified the challenges that are met with digitalization from the users, from the and customers, but also internally from the people who are using the thing. So, gentlemen, I thank you very, very much. Answering a question on the chat, people have asked if we are going to if the presentations will be shared with them. And what I'm doing right now is I am putting the link on the chat where people and the audience can find your presentations on our webinar webpage of the portal. So thank you for your permission to use them. I've just placed the link there. The presentations should be available as of tomorrow, but Monica might even upload them today. So please do visit that section because it not only has the presentations of today's webinars, it has the presentations of every webinar we've ever done on port security, on social responsibility, on port city relation, on sustainable management, on legislation. There's all these webinars that we've done, and all the presentations are there, and I would like to share that with the audience. That's it, gentlemen. I'm going to give you the floor so you can give us concluding thoughts and a goodbye a message. Let me start with Dwayne, then Luis, and then Ramon. Dwayne.
Jorge, Monica, thanks everybody for attending. We are always available to assist any countries that may be exploring these projects and these changes. And thanks again.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Luisito?
Okay, thanks, Ole. Thanks to the CBOA, Jorge, Monica. It's a pleasure as always. See you in Lima. See you in Lima, September. Great meeting there. Indra is proud to be part of this family. Okay? Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm the last. So thanks first to the audience to dedicate the time to listen us and to watch our presentations. Hope that we add value, each of us. Second, thanks, Monica, for the great coordination, the follow-up. You did a great job. Thanks for my colleagues who did great. I learned from you as well. And thanks, Jorge, for the invitation. It's an honor for me and for DP World to be part of this first webinar.
Thank you, the three of you very much. And like Luis said, the SIP is a SIP family. We all know each other. We all work with each other. Ramon, this is your first webinar, so welcome. But I've had Dwayne and Luis before, and so we all know because we indeed are a family of practitioners, people who are like they say in Spanish, you're pulling the cart towards the same place. So two more things, please, or three more things. Remind you that the link for the presentations is on the chat. Remind you also that Monica has uploaded the registration link for our next webinar, which will be on port development infrastructure and global competitiveness. We'll have a participation from the Private Terminal Association of Ecuador, and we have it'll be a very good seminar. It will also, like this one, have translation. The captions are translated automatically, so that one will be in Spanish. So all the English speakers are welcome because we'll have translation. And finally, the meeting in Lima that Luis was referring to is organized with the support of the National Port Authority of Peru, la Autoridad Portuaria Nacional, APN, and it will be in September 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Lima, Peru, and you can find information on that on our portal. So I will see certainly Ramon and Luis, who have been invited as speakers to address this issue. Anyways, thank the audience. Thank you, speakers, for lending us your time, which I know is valuable, and your expertise and your experience to share with the SIP community. In the name of all of us, thank you very much. And folks, remember to register for the next seminar. I will see you all at the next turnaround. Thank you so much. And thank, obviously, Martin Santillana and Monica Blanco. Goodbye now.
Bye-bye.